Hallo iedereen, dank u om deze Q&A te volgen met Anna Katz, de regisseur van The Dog Who Wouldn't Be Quiet. Anna, hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you.
A first question, a very broad question. What was your inspiration to make this movie?
Well, I think that the first thing in this case was intuition. I had at that moment very strong feelings related to morning feelings and an inspiration born from men feelings, for the first time, because it's my first feature film about a man. Because before this one, I always talked about women as main characters, at least. And I felt that there are a kind of man that society refuse or say, no, we don't need men like you because they are different. They can take care of people, they can take care of plants, they pay attention to animals and plants and people, and this is a problem for society. So I wanted to talk about those men, and I felt a big empathy for those human beings. And I really wanted to be close of him, close of his feelings and emotions, and I wanted to be to connect again with a space, with a kind of human scale vision of a man.
Yeah, he's actually very, very sensitive. His senses are more fine, more like touchy than mine, if I can compare. So we discover a lot of poetry through the images and too also in the character. The main character is your brother, so you casted your brother in this film. Wow.
Yes, he's my brother, and I have to tell you that till this moment he wasn't an actor. At least he didn't know it. But I think he's an actor, and well, we share a lot of activities. For example, we write together, but we work together from many years ago, and I think he has a very strong point of view in terms of political vision and sensitive vision, and he's a very lucid guy, and I was sure that he was the actor to transmit that very true emotions. I wanted to escape to fiction in as people know, like fiction, like you see a scene and you know that is a scene. I really wanted to connect with the documentary mood in terms of being really close without the typical tools of acting in fiction films. So I really trusted him, and I think he was great to do it. Yeah.
He earned trust. Congratulations for what he did with your film. Maybe we can zoom into the first scene, which is quite a spectacular scene. Also, what's happening there, the feeling of time, it's really like natural how it starts. There is one person neighbor coming in, the second, the third. It's almost funny, but it's so sad. Both are there, very mixed feelings. And then we have the fact of the dog. He looks very quiet. We don't hear him crying, but they talk about it. Was it difficult to create that scene, also in the scenario, and then filming it just like you wanted it to be?
Well, in fact, I think that kind of scenes is the ones that are more close to my familiar style, because I live in an absurd vision of life, and I always feel that everything is sad and everything is funny at the same time, and that happens a lot to me when I'm just living my life. And sometimes I like a lot to hear people being my people I know, and also maybe in a pub or out there. And I always feel that we think that everything is natural, but I don't see it like that. I feel that everything is really crazy, and the way we do things always it's so unnatural. So in that scene, the meeting of neighbors who are worried and who explain to the accused guy to be a problem because of the dog, I think it's as maybe every meeting of neighbors you can see. And at the same time, I always try to put maybe one drop more to can focus to that unreal vision. But maybe it's only one drop and you can see this is crazy. Yes, you can see that, okay, this is crazy. But when you are involved in those kind of scenes, you don't think it's unnatural. You live your life. So no, it wasn't complicated, and I have to say that the team and the crew and the actors are really great, are really people who I admired a lot. So when they act or when they create the shoots, and when we worked together, we felt that was a tone and a language that we knew or we liked a lot.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you really feel sorry for all of them because
Yes.
they all have their right to be and to behave and to show emotions as well. The first neighbor crying, it really breaks your heart because he shows his emotion.
Yes, he says that he is depressed, and that's the reason that the dog's noise is so annoying for him. He explains that the reason is that he's depressed, so he feels sorry to complain about it, but he needs to complain because he's depressed. And so you say, okay, I don't know what to do. And sometimes I feel that in our society, we live without hearing the other person. So when you hear, you can see that maybe if we reconnect with our capacity of hearing, we could change some things. Mm-hmm. But it's really complicated because there is always too much information, too much noise. So it's difficult to connect. Yes.
Yeah. Then maybe it's nice to jump to the next scene, which is at the desk of Sebas with his supervisor boss. And she's kind of judgy. She is not, compared to the neighbors, she has like a mean factor because she talks about generalized problems like also taking care of grandparents or parents, surtout. She says, yeah, you cannot take your dog to work, otherwise people might take family to work. Or even she compares it to a colleague of them who cannot come dressed like a woman. So in very quick, just with few examples, she shows us like with very judgy factor around it. What difficulties people might in these days feel expressing themselves and their nature as well.
Well, I first of all, I want to thank you because your perspective on my film is really poignant. I think you are really sensitive. You hear very in a very sensitive way, and I agree. The boss is really when she compares terrible things that can happen. It's funny because she expresses her own fears, her own judgments, and she shares with the main character what she imagined it can be possible is if freedom appears in society. So what's the problem with a person who like to dress as a woman? Or which is the problem if you dance at the office, or if you go with your I think that the problem is that type of economy we built till this moment. And yes, it is. There are a lot of structures that can be moved, and it would be better for a lot of people, but it would be worse for some groups. So I think that in that case, she refers to a problem that reflects her. And this is the worst things happen. Yeah.
Wow. Then luckily Sebas finds a solution, short solution, but then he moves and he tries to work on the countryside so he can have his dog very close. But there is a tragedy, and you communicate it, or you reflect on it through a very new manner, like you use animation to tell this scene. It's very touching because it's only few images you use to get into, and we feel even like it's easier to process through these images than through very over the top acting with blood and tears and just how it's only one scene. That may be my question. It's only one scene you use it. You could have used it a few times, but it was a choice to only have one scene in animation. Why is that?
You know what I felt when I was answering some questions in an interview because of the release of the film. I had a memory, and I thought something that I think that explains a lot what I felt in that moment. When it comes from the childhood, it comes from the moment you need to draw something, because you know when children have to draw, and after that an adult finds to draw and analyze and, and says, oh, the mother is bigger than the father. Oh, I think that, well, adults analyze children's drawings, and I think that it's very interesting the intimacy that you feel with that paper, the intimacy you feel that you sometimes when you explain something, you have to um, in a way to transfer or to change some tools to become to other state that is explain it. But I think that when you use drawings like in the film, it's really manual, really with pencil and paper and nothing else. I felt that it maybe could be more uh, close to the character, because my fear when I really think that if we could maybe do the scene, maybe it could be great, the acting and the car and everything, because I think that we can do it. But I really wanted to remove some rules of fiction films to connect to the audience in a different way, not in a, because we see a lot of, I insist that I feel that we see a lot of fiction works and a lot of material, well, nets in the nets, and well, TV, and well, the whole day advertisement, and well, and I wanted to this build, to go to the past in some way. So maybe the past was the childhood and was the way I found to connect with the audience in a very intimate way. I tried it, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And the structure of the film helps to it as well, because you try to fill in the gaps in between these phases of his life. And then we go to the scene in which he meets a girl, and they have a child, and then something very peculiar happens to Earth, which reminds us of the pandemic today. So
Yeah.
what a coincidence. You used also this theme for the last third of your film, or it's the second half. But what is the reaction of people watching your film, and they reflect on the COVID circumstances?
Yes, well, in the beginning, I want to say that Lips is one of the reviews more beautiful, I think, in cinema, and the Lips can narrate in a very deep and simple and lucid way to topics. I love the Lips, and I love to I don't know, I think we had here the courage to use it with as a strong tool, and I love that decision. But talking about the pandemic, and those scenes were very crazy for me, because I was like, well, before the shooting, I remember the post-production team called those scenes the science fiction scenes. And after the shooting, they they talked about those scenes like neorealism, Italian neorealism scenes, because it was like a tough reality. Sometimes too much clothes, because the bubbles in the hair, and it was like, I don't know, I can't understand. Luckily, it was a meteorite, but sometimes I read news about meteorites and I say, no, please, no. But, well, apart from the jokes, I think that sometimes in art, not me, artists in general can connect with some I don't know, with sensitive perception, but it's not the reality, of course. But it's a perception. For example, now with the feeling of incapacity of hearing. We still don't know if this pandemic answers an incapacity of hearing, because we know that the environment and the conditions of carrying the nature are always terrible, and we have to transform it. So maybe what I saw wasn't the pandemic, was very near, but wasn't the pandemic, but was the feeling of humanity without hearing the other people. Yeah.
Wow, well done. Oh. There's some very it's a little critique through the images, but it points right away where the problem is. I remember one scene on the bus after Seba's dog dies. He goes back, and it's the scene with the bread that is left on the chair. But a little before, we hear the speaker telling us about new technology on the phone. And right after, there is a guy who tries to sell writing material in vain, because who will buy this writing material now? How did you come up with this metaphor, this imagery, to let us feel how difficult it is for people to earn money and to survive with creative ideas?
Yes, I feel that sometimes the social classes are always too much involved in the whole possibilities to survive, and that's very cruel. And I think that appears all the time. You know, the first time I felt in a like amplified way the cruelty of reality was when I began to participate in society as a mother. Because when you are a mother, you feel like, well, you go, for example, to the park, and that was something that I could develop in other of my films, my friend from the park. But when you are a mother and go to the park, you can connect and talk with people from different classes, and maybe it's the only location, the only one space in which you can connect and meet people who are from other places and other realities than yours. So yes, I feel that in this case the society answers with the tools that always are really unfair. So always reappears the problems of the cruelty. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. Do you want? How do you want people remembering this film? And how do you connect to humor? That's maybe a question you can reflect on in this answer as well.
Yes, I feel, well, I know the answer. I know my answer because I something very beautiful. I was funny because the Sundance Festival team told me at the end of the festival, please imagine something happier for the next time, making shows about I saw the pandemic and all that stuff. But what I think is that it has a optimist side, this film, and it's because I think that life is constant transformation, and the film tried to describe the capacity of adaptation, constant adaptation of human being. We maybe can hear more, and we maybe can transform, because life is an instant, and so we can move. We can build something, some structures, and we can transform those feelings that we don't like. So it's really complicated, but it's a lie that we can't do it. So I think the film has an optimistic side, and I want the audience connect with that part if it's possible.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for all this new knowledge coming to us.
No.
Is there for you one filmmaker or maybe a writer who inspires you a lot, or inspired you to make this film and other work? Yeah. It feels
I think no, on the contrary, I really thank the festival and your beautiful questions, and to us is an opportunity to connect and to hear what you felt and to learn, because I think that when you finish a film, you still learn about that film when you hear people talking about the film, and that I think this is the way to continue with the process of learning that a film gives you. So on the contrary, thank you. I hope you have a very great edition of the festival in spite of the pandemic, blah, blah, blah.
Really looking forward to it, and it's thanks to all the viewers who are now looking to this Q&A. We thank them as well, and hope to see more of your work, because you're very interesting. Also an actress, I saw, so wow, you're all over Argentina doing work as director, actor, and you inspire your brother to act. So it's a whole family. Probably your children will act or direct one day.
I don't know, maybe.
It's a beautiful job. Yeah, really. If you can make this quality of films, then it's wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.